What would you do if your HOA's Queen Karen hated you so much that she burned your home to ashes, only to end up standing in your courtroom for sentencing? Stick around to the end and tell me which country you're watching from. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more insane HOA and Karen stories. It all started on a quiet, cool night in the suburban town of Pine Hollow. The community was the kind of place that looked perfect on the outside. Well-manicured lawns, pastel houses, and a neighborhood watch that acted more like a royal guard for the HOA. But behind that illusion of order was something far uglier. The Homeowners Association was run by one woman, Karen Baxter, a middle-aged perfectionist who treated the neighborhood like her personal empire. She was the kind of person who could smile at your face while writing you a violation notice before you closed your door. Her rules weren't just about lawns or fences, they were about control. And her favorite target was Thomas Reed. Thomas had bought one of the oldest houses in Pine Hollow, a charming, slightly worn home with a red roof and a wide oak tree in the front yard. He wasn't the kind to decorate with HOA-approved colors or spend weekends polishing the mailbox. He was a retired fire investigator, quiet, patient, and not easily intimidated. But that patience would be tested in ways no one could imagine. It began with small things. Karen sent him constant violation letters for supposed infractions: grass too tall, tree branches too low, driveway too cracked. Then came the harassment, anonymous complaints, petty fines, and nasty whispers at HOA meetings. But Thomas didn't fight back. Not yet. He had seen worse things in his line of work, and he knew the difference between petty control and genuine danger. That danger arrived one evening. It was late summer when it happened. The air dry, the lawns brittle, and the nights unusually hot. Thomas had gone into town to visit his sister. When he returned, all he could see was an orange glow in the distance. His street was lined with fire trucks. Neighbors stood outside, whispering, some filming on their phones. His house was burning. The flames devoured everything: walls, roof, memories. The flame moved fast, too fast for an accident. Thomas's years as a fire investigator kicked in the moment he saw the pattern of the burn. It wasn't random. It was deliberate. Someone had started it. When the fire was finally out, nothing was left but the stone foundation and the charred frame of what used to be his home. As he stood there under the flashing lights, the fire chief approached quietly, holding something in a bag. It was a small red gasoline container, half melted, found near the fence line. Thomas knew. But the real shock came 2 days later. As investigators went through security camera footage from nearby homes, one camera, an older model across the street, had caught something unmistakable. The image wasn't perfect, but the outline of a woman, her car, her blonde hair under a hoodie, and her familiar gait were all visible. It was Karen Baxter, the HOA president. Apparently, Karen had convinced herself that Thomas's non-compliance was a stain on the neighborhood. In her mind, removing his home was a solution to keep property values high. She even bragged to a friend earlier that week about fixing the Reed problem once and for all. The police didn't waste time. They arrested her the next morning, and the entire neighborhood erupted in gossip. Some residents defended her, others were horrified. But for Thomas, the hardest part wasn't losing the house. It was realizing that someone so obsessed with control could commit such destruction over pride. Months passed as the case made its way to court. Thomas rebuilt his life slowly, living in a small rental on the edge of town. He focused on healing, but something unexpected happened along the way. During the investigation, it was discovered that the HOA had been manipulating funds under Karen's leadership. Dozens of residents came forward with evidence of misused dues and falsified records. The board disbanded and the community's reputation crumbled. Karen wasn't just facing arson charges, she was facing fraud, embezzlement, and destruction of property. The case drew national attention. News vans parked outside the courthouse. Headlines read, "HOA president arrested for arson and fraud." The same woman who once boasted about upholding community standards was now known across the country as the HOA arsonist. And then came the day of sentencing. Thomas walked into the courtroom wearing his old black suit. He'd been called as a witness during the trial, but this time he was there to see the final outcome. The courtroom buzzed quietly as Karen was let in, her once perfect hair now dull, her expression pale and defeated. But as she entered, her eyes locked on him and froze. Because sitting at the bench that day, presiding over her sentencing, was Judge Thomas Reed. After the fire, Thomas had been offered an honorary judicial position in the local district, a recognition for his decades of public service as a senior fire investigator and legal consultant. Though not a full-time judge, he was occasionally called to oversee special cases related to property and safety. And in a twist of fate, this case had been assigned to his docket by random selection. The moment their eyes met, the entire courtroom went silent. The irony was poetic. The woman who had destroyed his home was now standing before him, awaiting judgment. Thomas maintained complete professionalism, but everyone in that room could feel the weight of history between them. The evidence was overwhelming. The footage, the fuel canister, the financial records, everything tied back to her. When the sentence was finally delivered, it was decisive. Karen was found guilty on all counts: arson, fraud, destruction of property, and reckless endangerment. The punishment included years in prison, restitution for the damages, and a lifetime ban from serving on any community board. As the gavel came down, Karen's expression changed from shock to disbelief. For the first time, she realized that her arrogance had cost her everything. When the hearing ended, Thomas quietly left the room. He didn't need to look back. He didn't need to. Justice had spoken, not through anger, but through truth. Months later, the land where his house once stood became something new. Thomas rebuilt, not a replica of the old house, but something better, a symbol of resilience and peace. The neighbors, now free from Karen's tyranny, helped him plant new trees and lay the foundation. The town slowly healed, and so did he. And though the scars of the fire remained in his memory, they served as a reminder that justice, though sometimes slow, always finds its way home.